Hey, good afternoon. This is Jason with Martell Math. Welcome to another episode of Martell Math. Today we're going to be talking about the order of operations. Order of operations. In other words, how you do long math sentences. What do you do first, second, third, fourth? How do you make sure you do things in order to ensure you get the correct answer? Seems really basic and simple, but when you see a problem like this one right here, you might notice there's a lot of things to do on there. You have addition signs, you have division signs, and you have radicals, and you have square root signs, and you have exponents. What do you do first? Where do you start? How do you know? Well, luckily, somebody long before me and probably a lot smarter figured this out. And they said, do this first in this order. PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. You want to do that in that specific order. And to break it down a little bit more finitely, I want you to understand, when we talk about parentheses, we're talking about simplifying what is inside of your parentheses. And as you notice, I also drew brackets because oftentimes you'll have problems that include brackets. First thing you do is tackle anything inside of your parentheses or brackets, simplify whatever's in there, and then you move on to the next step, exponents, E for exponents. You notice right here we have a 3 squared, or 3 raised to the second power. That's an exponent. So after I finish working my parentheses right here, I'm going to go over and attack my exponents. Now, before I move on, I want you to notice that we have a radical on this equation right here. That means square root of 16. And we don't show square roots or radicals anywhere on PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. Well, think about it. What is a radical sign? It's asking you what the square root of a number is. The square root of a number is a number times itself, or a number raised to the second power. So really, a square root is just telling you to do the opposite of an exponent. So if you see a square root, be sure to do it in the same step as the E as the exponent. And I'll even write that down with a little extra arrow right here. We're going to add our exponent, our radicand. So you'll always know when you see that, do it here. Before I jump into the equation, just a little reminder, there's a way to remember this, P-E-M-D-A-S. Repeat after me. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Perfect. If you can remember that, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So I'm going to look at my equation and look for anything in parentheses or brackets first, and I'm going to simplify or tackle that part of the problem before I do anything else. So if you look over here, we have a 5 plus 3 times parentheses 2 plus 3, and minus 3 squared minus 6 divided by 2 plus square root of 16. My parentheses, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to simplify whatever's inside, which in this case is simply 2 plus 3. So I look at it, 2 plus 3, that's 5. And I'm going to begin to rewrite my math sentence. I always rewrite a sentence with each step that I complete. Sometimes I'll add in extra steps. Sometimes I'll do one step at a time. It depends on the nature of the equation and my understanding of it as well. So now we have 2 plus 3 equals 5, which I can write that still in the parentheses, or I can write it as 3 times 5, because this is 3 times whatever's in the parentheses. And I can rewrite, I've got 5 plus 3 times 5, continue on, minus, wait a minute, 3 squared. Well, I've done everything in my parentheses, so can I do my exponent right now? Sure, why not? There's no more parentheses left. Exponents are the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and do that while I'm rewriting my equation here. 5 plus 3 times 5 minus 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. Minus 9. Minus 6 divided by 2 plus, while I'm here, I might as well do the radical, because the radical is the inverse operation of a square or an exponent. So we're going to go ahead and finish that off too. Square root of 16, well, what number times itself is 16? 4 times 4. So the square root of 16 is simply just 4. There we go. We have our math sentence rewritten, a couple of steps taken out, ready to move on to the next step in our order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, we've completed those steps. Now let's take a look at multiplication and division. And here's where you'll remember one of the most important basics when it comes to doing order of operations. Making sure we're doing stuff from left to right. Left to right. You start here, you go this way. Typically, multiplication and division are interchangeable, but for simplicity's sake, for safety's sake, make sure you just do things in order, left to right. Look at your multiplication first, do your division. As you get more experience with order of operations, you'll be able to understand when you can do one before the other, division before multiplication. But for this purpose, we're going to stick with the plan. Go right down the line. looking at multiplication, I've got right here 3 times 5, and I don't have any other multiplication anywhere else, but I've got a division as well. So being that I understand my order of operations, and these are relatively simple problems within themselves, I'm going to do both of those at the same time. I'm going to do my multiplication first. 3 times 5 gives us 15, and 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. Rewrite what's left from the equation. Just bring everything down, and now take a look and see what you have left. Now, believe it or not, this is not the easiest part here. I had some trouble with it, making sure I did it right. I had to go back to the book and make sure I always check my work, and that's how I realized I didn't do it right. When you're doing addition and subtraction, typically addition and subtraction, they are commutative where you can do one before the other. Here again, stick with the plan. Do addition first. And don't just think of it as doing addition. Think about it almost as signage, positives and negatives. You got a positive 5. Even though it's not a plus in front of it, it's always a positive if there's no sign in front. We have a positive 15. We have a positive 4. This is what confuses a lot of folks. This is what confused me even before I did my review. I'm going to add up all my pluses, all my addition, all my positives. So plus 5, plus 15, plus 4. Just those right there. In fact, I'm even going to kind of highlight a little bit. I've got a plus 5, a plus 15, and a plus 4. So if we add 5 plus 15 plus 4, well, 5 plus 15, that's 20. Plus 4, that gives us 24. So we're going to take those guys and start our new line, our new math difference line here. So there's 24. And then before I write that, I can combine my negatives, because while these are minus signs, they're also indicating a negative value. Minus 9 and minus 3. Well, minus 9 and minus 3 come together or add together or subtract together, depending on whatever nomenclature you use. I always think of things as how they relate on the number line. If I'm on a number line and I have a minus 9 right here, I got to go 3 spaces. This is a minus, so we keep going down the number line. Minus 9, minus 3, that's going to give me, oh, it's 9 and 3. 9, 10, 11, 12. So minus 12. So now we have 24 minus 12. That's a critical step to make sure you're combining your plus signs, combining your minus signs. And then, now we can do our final step. As for subtraction, 24 minus 12. Well, 24 minus 12, that's 12. There you go. I've already double-checked my work, made sure my steps match up to what's in the book, made sure that every operation that I did is correct and clear. I went through it in my head each time. I feel very confident about my answer. It matches what's in the book. And I remember to please excuse my dear Aunt Sally while always traveling left to right. I hope this is a helpful video. I wish you good luck and have a great day. Thanks again for watching Martel Math.